Proceus is an end-to-end PropTech solution for property developers. Proceus offer property sales booking system, ProCRM for leads management, ProFix for property defect management system, and ProBilling for billing and collection management. Proceus was established in 2015. It's a PropTech company that certified with MSC status in 2017. In 2019, Proceus became a member of Malaysia PropTech Association. By June 2019, Proceus officially entered the commissions market. Within 1 year, it's enjoying rapid growth of 300%. In September, Proceus was awarded with a Golden Bull Award, emerging SME for its tremendous growth and success. Proceus was also nominated for the Innovative Technology Award in PropTech Solution by IBR Asia Group. Proceus offers the most suitable digitalization solutions for properties developers. Get in touch with us now at enquiry@infradigitals.com.my. Proceus is an end-to-end PropTech solution for property developers. Proceus offers property sales booking system, ProCRM for leads management, ProFix for property defect management system, and ProBilling for billing and collection management. Proceus was established in 2015. It's a PropTech company that certified with MSC status in 2017. In 2019, Proceus became a member of Malaysia PropTech Association. By June 2019, Proceus officially entered the commissions market. Within 1 year, it's enjoying rapid growth of 300%. In September, Proceus was awarded with a Golden Bull Award, emerging SME for its tremendous growth and success. Proceus was also nominated for the Innovative Technology Award in PropTech Solution by IBR Asia Group. Proceus offers the most suitable digitalization solutions for properties developers. Get in touch with us now at enquiry@infradigitals.com.my.
Chua, cannot hear you.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for just now I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Malaysian Property Virtual Talk Show 2021. Yeah, it's the seventh session in this series, and we are going to discuss on the legal technology today. Yeah, I'm Chua, the CEO of the Proceus, and I will be your moderator for this section. Okay, just before we start our topic today, let me remind the public that there will be a total of 100 prizes, inclusive of the iPhone 12, smart TV, and also the laptop to be given away to the winner of our extravaganza quiz later. In order for you to be able to win these prizes, all you need to do is like the Malaysian properties and also the Big Two Bazaar Facebook page and share this talk show on your Facebook or any social media. And answer the simple quiz that will be asked at the end of this episode. The reply has to be sent through the WhatsApp to the number of 010-916-43447 together with your full name, your Facebook name, and also your email address. The fastest of you in sending a message with the correct answer will be the winner, and the winner will be announced on the Malaysian Property Facebook on the following Monday. Okay, let us begin for our topic today. Yeah, as a result of the COVID-19, many countries have been enforcing the movement control order, which is the MCO in Malaysia, which is not allowing the physical meeting to happen. This, within many other changes, has also led to a very huge increase of the use of the electronic signature, even the electronic document, even the agreement, and also the contract. But however, there is not much of the awareness and also the professional knowledge within the people about these electronic tool that is by through a digital click or check to sign the document. Okay. But majority of the people is not yet confident in using the e-signature, the e-contract, mostly because that they don't have enough knowledge about it, and they will keep on asking on whether it allowed legally in the Malaysia, or even build a barrier and try to avoid using it just to prevent themselves from being involved in any court case. Like the world in the past 12 months during the pandemic period has been fast changing, and thanks to the growth and also the adoption of the new technology today that developed all on the disruptive wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. And today that it appears it's very easy to sign the document or the contract through digitally through online, and we hear about this even more and more compared to previous. Like today, Malaysian Property has invited two experts today to help in spreading the awareness, to provide the public about the knowledge and also the proper information about the electronic contract and also the electronic signature to increase the confidence in using that. Okay, so in order to have a very clear view on the legal side, we are actually very honored and able to invite a doctor today. What I mentioned, the doctor actually is not the doctor in hospital, but the doctor in university. So welcome, Dr. Gita, the senior lecturer of the Faculty of Law of the Multimedia University. Yes, welcome, Dr.
Hello,
Gita.
Chua. Hello,
And the
Chua. Thank you for the kind introduction. Very happy and honored to be here.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gita, for being here today. And another speaker is the Miss Elizabeth Siu. She is the founder and also the CEO of Lipro System, which is the first end-to-end real estate legal technology in Malaysia and also the Singapore. Miss Elizabeth Siu is also one of the very few people in the group that can represent the legal tech in the Malaysia. Yeah, welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Chua, and hi to Dr. Gita. Really honored to be sharing the forum together with Dr. Gita. And Chua, what you have just mentioned about the situation of pandemic and the transitions, digital adoption is 100% on point, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, actually last year has been a very tough one for the property industry. Like as I know that your Libro system has been helping the property industry to digitalize the contract signing process. And I believe that the COVID-19 pandemic has and will somehow accelerate the adoption process of this legal technology. this legal technology, right? Like based on your experience in the legal tech and also the property industry, do you think that this legal tech wave will just be a very short-term phenomenon of the solution because due to the lockdown and it will be actually over and we turn back to the old so-called the physical paper and pen signing after we go through this pandemic period?
This is a very good questions that you are actually posing to us. You see, like any adoption of technology and innovation, there is always a process. Okay, it always starts from awareness first. Okay, there is probably like a pinpoint, something happened that result in people wanting to look for a solution. So that's where the awareness start to happen, and from there they start to search. When they search, they learn. After they learn, they will always try. They will try. So after they try, then they will decide whether to adopt or not to adopt. Some will go back to the old way. Some will adopt and get comfortable and beginning to build a habit, a new habit of using the technology. So we are at the moment still at the stage of awareness and learning and asking questions. So therefore, the questions about the awareness is the awareness is electronic signature solve the problem. Then the question is it legal? The next is they are going to try, right? So we are still at this stage, and in Malaysia, actually, the law has been in place for a long, long time. In fact, that is how I got to know Dr. Gita. I got to know her about 3 years ago, right, Dr. Gita? About 3 years ago,
Yes.
to one of her student, I hired her student to be one of our lawyer and did a lot of research on e-contract, e-signing and digital transformation for legal contract and property industry. And that is when I actually came across a lot of articles written by Dr. Gita. She has written those articles even way before the pandemic, probably like 5 6 years ago, because all this statute was already in place, right? She was studying and analyzing all these questions way before people are asking, right? And in fact, because of our invitation, for her to be our forum this time, I went Google and I checked. I realized that Dr. Gita has published even more articles. There's a long list of articles. So I think, Chua, if you don't mind, like if our audience are interested to find out more, maybe we can also connect them and maybe like share some of Dr. Gita's articles with them. But anyway, as far as market adoption is concerned, I think yeah, we are at this stage. Okay, so we have to firstly, of course, throughout these sessions, we will be sharing with you how legal it is, okay? And of course, Dr. Gita, I think she can share a lot of insights. And next is also basically, I think that is our job, lah, to educate the market, the industries on
Yeah,
adoption.
fully agree. Like before we go into the legality challenge, maybe for Elizabeth, you are very very experienced in implementing this so-called your Lipro system into the industry, right? Can you share with us that what are the practical implications, the advantage, and also the if any disadvantage, and what is the impact for this electronic contract, electronic signature, and even that the electronic stamping on the property industry?
Right. Okay. You see, last year when the government announced the first lockdown, MCO, it was March 18. And that very week, I think the entire real estate industry went kelang kabut lah, or panic, panic, especially the developers and the real estate agents. Why? Because developers were doing sales, and in fact, in Malaysia, quite lucky for us, the prop tech was already starting to take place before the pandemic. So people were using virtual tour to view properties. Even real estate agent, they have the 360 view of properties for rental, and developer some of them had virtual sales gallery. Then, of course, thanks to Pro Sales, they also have online e-booking and online real-time booking management system, whereby
Yes.
people can view, they can make booking, select unit through payment gateway. But the process stopped there because the next step will be going to the lawyer to sign a contract. So when the government announced MCO, all of a sudden the developer found that the fulfillment of that transaction cannot be done. Okay, people want to apply for loan, they can't. They want to sign contract, they can't because the lawyers are not working. All right, and even people do not want to meet each other physically. So for a few months, even though developer was selling properties, they cannot get anything signed for a few months. Okay, until probably like June, and real estate agent as well. The tenancy will not sign. They have people wanting to rent apartment. People can't move in, of course, but they can't also sign tenancy agreement. So for a few months last week, there was totally no transaction. Nothing could happen, stand still. The whole country, as far as contract and documentation is concerned, is standstill. So that's why I think it's very, very crucial to ensure that we are able to, you know, have a seamless automation of the sales process, from buying, selling, and the contract, to the completion. Okay, and the signing, and of course e-stamping. The Malaysian government has been adopting e-stamping for a long time, for a couple of years. So e-stamping is all online. So in fact now, the moment contract can be signed online, e-stamping online, I think the whole process is seamlessly digitized and online.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Elizabeth, that you pointed out that actually during the pandemic period, most of the real estate industry they just keep on hanging on the so-called we call as the confirmation of even the booking for the sales and purchase or even the booking of the tenancy side. Yeah, and I believe that what you mentioned, all these kind of the electronic things will actually help them to automate so that they can even they are able to proceed for the transaction without the physical meeting. Yeah. Just now I was
Maybe
mentioned
I
that
just
talking
add
about
on something.
yeah,
Chua,
yeah,
sorry.
sure, sure.
Maybe I would just like to share with the audience, maybe even to share with Dr. Gita, what happened during the pandemic MCO last year. People were doing uh, their version of e-signing is that someone will email a document to you. They will just like sign it, scan it, and email back, and to them that is e-signing. They did such a
Yeah.
action, and some of the even law firm, I know some of the clerks, what they do, they take the client's signature they use a PDF document, they sort of like copy paste it. They screenshot the signature, then they copy paste it to a document, and then they call it e-sign. It is terrifying. It's terrifying, I think, for a law practitioner as well as I think to Dr. Gita to know this. All this cut and paste kind of thing, what was happening last year. So I think we need to give the audience a proper education. What amount to a proper e-signing? You cut paste is not it's not an
Yeah.
e-signing.
This is actually the so-called the legality challenge for the electronic
Yes.
signature and also the e-contract. And this is why Dr. Gita will be here. That actually for all these kind of the legality challenge that facing in the industry or in the market, like how to prove that who is the one that's signing, and even that the document inside the soft copy, it might be edited or might be manipulated after being signed. And this is how we can control on this thing and what is the integrity of the digital contract, the e-contract, even like the e-signature, is it admissibility in the court? Yeah, Dr. Gita.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. I think you gave a very, very good, excellent background and introduction to what was happening during the pandemic and even still going on in some cases, and what the general public perception of e signing is. Actually, it is a nightmare. It's been a nightmare for lawyers. So, to take up from where you left off, let me just go step by step. What exactly is e signing? What is an electronic signature? So, as I said, under the law, e signatures is not so simple. There are two types of e-signatures, right? One is what we call a digital signature, which is governed by the Digital Signatures Act of 1997. Then we have what we call electronic signatures, which is governed by the Electronic Commerce Act of 2006. So, without being too technical, let me just explain very quickly in simple terms what the difference between these two are. Right? So, digital signatures is technology specific. All right, the DSA for short, Digital Signatures Act, is a technology-specific act which uses two-key cryptography for security. So a digital signature is an algorithm. It is composed of various numbers and coupled with cryptography and hashing, which actually tells you if there's any tampering to the document. So a hash is a string of alpha numerical characters. That means ABC, 1, 2, 3, joined together. So as I was given in a very simple example, take my name, a very short name, spelling GITA. Now that will have a certain hash string, right? Certain alphabets and numerals attached to that. If I were to change just one letter, say the G is changed to an S, immediately this will show up in the hash string. So a technical person, IT person, a forensic person will be able to detect any changes. So if a document is tampered with that has this kind of security features of hashing, cryptography, algorithms, then the technical aspects of it will be discoverable by the computer forensic expert or any IT expert. But we, the ordinary people, will not be able to tell. So lawyers who want to test the authenticity of a document will actually have to call upon the assistance of a IT person. So this is where the security features comes in. But are these documents admissible in court? Oh yes. Right from 1990, there were certain amendments introduced to the Evidence Act which made electronic documents admissible. Then again, as an extra procedural precautionary measure, the Evidence Act also requires the electronic document. Here I'm talking about an entire document, not just the signature. Okay, just now under the DSA, I was talking about just the signature which comes with cryptography and hashing. But now I'm talking about an entire electronic document. Say a document that is typed out, a contract that is typed out on your computer, emailed to the other side. All right. So emails, SMS, WhatsApp chats, all these are now electronic evidence, electronic documents that can be admitted to court. But how will the court accept this? Is it, we call it, what weight will it give? Will the court believe that this is true? Is it authentic? What is the degree of reliability or integrity of the document? So under the law, there are two methods of proving the reliability, integrity, and authenticity of an entire electronic document, not just the signature. But when you talk about a document, of course, every part of the document has to be proved. So a signature will be proved by the digital signature certification. Likewise, the entire electronic document will have to be proved in either of two ways. One, either by calling the maker of the document to testify, yes, this is the document that I prepared, this is the document that I signed, and that is my digital signature. You could do that. Or alternatively, you could call the person who is in charge of preparing the document and had overall supervision over the computers or other equipment in the office or in the organization from which that document was produced, and also to testify whether or not that document was produced in the course of the ordinary use of that computer. So this is a double layer of security. So that would be a certification given by the internal supervisor. But a digital certificate for a digital signature has to be issued by a licensed certifying authority. So this way, the document is safe and can be admissible in court, and you can establish its authenticity, reliability, and integrity. Now we move on to the second type, that is the electronic signature or e-signature, right? Now, just like Elizabeth was describing, to most people's mind, they will think that, okay, I sign on the paper document, I scan it or take a photograph of it, and then I just email it and send it up, or even send it up by WhatsApp or whatever, right? And that would be my e-signature. Well, in a way, that can be called an e-signature because the E-Commerce Act is not technology specific, unlike the Digital Signatures Act. So under the E-Commerce Act, any word, diagram, symbol, sound, or any other form can be recognized as an electronic signature. So you're scanning your signature can actually be recognized as an e-signature under the E-Commerce Act. But so can a whole lot of other things like biometrics, your thumbprint, that would be also recognized under the E-Commerce Act, but not under the Digital Signatures Act, because digital signatures is mathematical formula, whereas E-Commerce Act, it is broader in scope and it recognizes a wide variety of possible e-signatures. So even a sound, if you have a particular musical note or sound as your signature note, that can also be recognized as an e-signature. So the E-Commerce Act is very broad, but it does not have the security features of the DSA. There is no cryptography. So then how will you establish its integrity? Now that is the problem, right? So for that, you will need secondary evidence like witnesses or video conferencing. So both parties to a e-signature turn on their videos live as we are now and show each other's signature and say, you have a signing ceremony witnessed by people on both sides to say, yes, at such and such a day, at such and such a time, these two people signed the contract freely and voluntarily without any undue pressure or intimidation or anything. That kind of evidence would be called for. So as I was describing the admissibility of electronic documents in court, there were two methods, right? I told you, one is a witness testimony and the other is a certificate by a supervisor. So for an e-signature like this, you will need live witness testimony. So to establish that, yes, the signature, this electronic signature was signed during this time on this date and witnessed by these people, witnessed by me. So that would be the way to admit it in court. Or the other way also, you could, if you sign and you could SMS the person immediately or email the person, here I have signed it, I've scanned it, emailing it to you for your follow-up action on your end. And then the other person replies. So there are a string of interconnected emails at the sequence of time. So all this will be part of evidence to prove its authenticity, integrity, and reliability to be admitted as evidence in court. So that is how you prove the electronic signature, and that is how the electronic signature and the electronic document becomes admissible in court. I hope that was simple enough and not too technical. So between the two, I think you will realize, although digital signature is more secure and authentic, it is not easy to establish. There is a little bit of capital investment, outlay, and education awareness that is required. Whereas e-signature is easier, but it requires greater security and additional secondary evidence to establish its authenticity.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Dr. Gita. Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for your
Yeah.
explanation on what is the difference between the e-signature, e-contract, and also the digital signature. And even you go further about talking about the security wise, about the cryptography, how the encryption works, and how they prove that all these things actually is admissibility in the court. Like talking about this kind of the security things, Elizabeth, actually, is there any license or the standard that need to be applied in order to provide the e-signature service?
Wow. Okay. Dr. Gita, I think her explanation was precise and concise. Very,
Yeah,
very good. Right. Now, but of course, as a practitioner, for people like us, we will we adopt the electronic signature governed under Electronic Commerce Act, and we also look into how the banking industries is working, how the e-commerce industries is utilizing Electronic Commerce Act and e-signature, which is multi-factor authentication to build up the trail of evidence. That is where Dr. Gita was mentioning just now. You got to have secondary, trail of evidence that prove that this is the person, and he's actually, intended to enter into the contract. He agree, and he's actually signed off the e-contract, the e-document. So we call it the digital trail or audit trail. All right, digital audit trail. So uh, the security of it is important. By when we capture trail, it's important to ensure system security and data security. And usually the breach can happen in multiple ways. For example, in terms of breach of data, uh, it could be what do you call that, breach from storage. That means when you store it in the server, okay, someone hacked into it, or you store it in cloud and then it was hacked. So that is in storage. Then there's another way where data can be breached, that is through transmission. Because as you notice, many of us are using public Wi-Fi outside. Like, in certain cafe, we are using public unsecure Wi-Fi for transmitting of system and things, right? So that is where sometimes during transmission the data could be breached, and could be stolen by people. And some of this hacker, I have to say that they are of course white hacker and they are dark hacker. And in fact, from storage, you realize, for example, you think AWS storage is very secure, but even AWS cloud storage account can be hacked by people. Why? Because some of these are just normal white hacker. They hack in to use your account. Why? Because your account is always on auto deduct basis from a credit card. So they just want to tap into a credit card payment and tumpang lah and free use of your account, right? So these are things that is happening every day. Could be even university students, or some youngster, or some people who just like try to do it for fun. Okay, they do not mean any harm, but somehow all these are hacking activities, and that's a breach of that data. Okay, and system security. So that's why it's very important that when we look at the production of e-document and the administering of the e-signature, from every point, point to point, every point there must be security, and the trail must be recorded, and where the trail is stored, where is it stored? It's also important, because the trail is called timestamp. That means at every point when there's an action happen, the system will record. For example, I log into my email. There is a time. All right. Then I click my mobile phone to retrieve one-time password. So there is a time. And then I key in my one-time password. There's another time. Okay. When I open the document, I read. There's another time. So all these are called timestamp. And where are this time being produced? Is it produced by a computer? Where is a computer? Or is it produced by some cloud? Okay, where the system is stored. So how accurate is this time? So if that computer time is not accurate, then the timestamp is not accurate, it can be questioned and can be challenged in court. So, therefore, all these are the very nitty-gritty and detailed that a lot of people do not look at. But when eventually we go to court, a court lawyer may be looking at all this evidence trail with a microscope and question every point of time, every step of the way, right? So that is the reason that we think that e-signature and e-document is, besides the act itself to govern, we need to comply, the entire system administration, okay, the architecture of the system, security architecture is very, very important to ensure that the piece of document and the signature can be produced in court and the court can admit it as evidence.
Okay, yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah, talking about the evidence and also the witness, right, that mentioned by Dr. Gita just now. Actually, we got one of the friend of mine. He actually asking a question. He said that
Oh,
instead of just now the audit trail that you mentioned just now about the timestamp, the transaction log, can email conversation be constituted as a secondary evidence to back up the e-signature that doesn't have any cryptographic certification?
okay. I think that question can go to Dr. Gita. She has written an article on that. Dr. Gita.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Gita, maybe you
Okay,
can
Yes.
answer about
right.
this question.
Yes, it has been established in court through various cases that emails, our social media logs, our SMSs on WhatsApp, WeChat, all these things can be admitted as evidence. However, how do we authenticate it? An email has to be separately authenticated. An SMS has to be separately authenticated. Every messaging system must be separately authenticated. That means you are, all right, let us just take the email. All right. So the email will have a header. Okay. Who is the sender? Who is the author of this email? Who is it being sent to? The subject matter. Then you will come to the date and the time, just like Elizabeth was talking about time stamping. So date and time will also be embedded there. All right. And then you will send the email. But the problem is the email can be hacked. Or very simply, this is my laptop, it's lying here. Supposed to be the one who is using it. I go off to the washroom, somebody else comes in and uses my laptop using my email address and system to send off an email under my name. So the person who receives this thing will think that I sent it. Hey, how come you sent me such an email? You complained about so many things, you said so many bad things about me. Okay, hey, what are you talking about? I didn't send anything. Then I quickly check my email log. Yeah, it has been sent from me. Okay, then I'll say, look at the time, look at the date. Actually, I didn't send, somebody has done this. But there's a worst case scenario. Your account can be hacked from a different place altogether. I can be sitting in my home here in Malacca and somebody from, say, Russia or Yugoslavia or anywhere can hack into my account and send up an email under my name. So then how do I prove that I did not send? Then it becomes very complicated and very expensive to prove because we need to engage the professional services of a computer forensic expert. Remember, I was talking about hashing and algorithms. They will go into what we call metadata. Metadata is data about data, information about information. Where was this server? Where was this located? They will be able to establish. So then it becomes more difficult to prove the authenticity. Likewise, okay, a simpler way, less expensive way. All right. Say I usually communicate with you and Elizabeth by way of, say, my WhatsApp chats. Then we look, are we having a group chat or are we having individual chat? Then you look through the language that is used. Is this the normal method of communication? Is this the normal language? Do I attach some emojis to it, smiley face or thumbs up or things like that? What is my character? what is my normal pattern of replying, the language, the spelling. Do I make a lot of spelling mistakes when I'm typing? All this will come as evidence to establish whether or not this message was or was not sent by Mr. A to Mr. B, or was Mr. X using Mr. A's phone to send this message to Mr. B. So that is how, at a simpler level, you will authenticate and prove whether or not this was the person who sent that message. So, yes, emails, WhatsApp chats, Facebooks, logs, all this can be used in court as evidence, but all this require proof. They require proof. And this kind of proof cannot be supplied by a certificate that I told you. All right. The others, a lawyer on the opposing lawyer will definitely object. No, they have the right to either accept a certificate and not to accept. Certificates will be accepted for convenience sake and run of the mill things where there is no dispute. But where the evidence is going to be disputed, then the lawyer will definitely object. No, I want to cross examine your witness. You call the witness. So then you have to get the technical experts or anyone else who is around you who knew that you sent such a message. So then it gets more fun and more complicated and more challenging.
Yeah. I fully agree for the Dr. Gita, what you
Answers your
mentioned just
question.
now. Yes. Really, thanks a lot. Like we talking about all this kind of legal tech thing, there will be many evidences to provide. But have there been any legal or court case that really involved in the acceptance or the validity of the e-signature today? Like, has anyone ever challenged it, or do you mind that maybe both of you see whichever got this kind of the experience that can
They,
share with our
yeah.
public?
I think there are cases which Dr. Gita can share, because the last time when remember Dr. Gita, we were chatting about this case whereby the son uses the mother's credit card to buy
Yes,
something for the girlfriend, right? Maybe you
yes.
want to share on that. Is so interesting, right?
Wow, we
The
have a
son uses
very good
mother's credit card
memory.
for girlfriends.
Yeah, very good memory. Okay, what happened was the mother was helping the son to set up his online internet banking account, and then she was advising him on the user passwords. All right, what sort of passwords that is easy to remember? She said you should not write this down anywhere. So use an easy password that you can remember, like say birth dates, anniversaries. Actually, if you ask a bank, those are the things that they tell you not to use because people can guess. But the mother was telling the son, use something that you can remember because you cannot write down anywhere. Then the son set up his own account. Now he needs money to buy his girlfriend a present. He doesn't have a credit card, so he needs his mother's credit card. He doesn't ask her for it. He buys things online and then guesses how the security, the password for his mother's credit card would be. He tries various combinations. Well, she said anniversary date, birth date, this, that. So he goes on an elimination list and then bingo, he gets it. So then, right, he can use a credit card, buys a present online for his girlfriend and delivers it. Then the bank statement comes and the mother looks at this. I didn't make these purchases. So she disputes those transactions with the bank. Okay, so disputed transaction. So the bank says, no, we have your digital signature there, you have your password authentication, everything. So as far as the bank is concerned, as long as the password is there, the security number is there, the digital signature is there, then it is a valid transaction and the bank cannot be held liable. So then they took it to a dispute resolution center and they questioned. So they questioned the mother, how she does things. So then she explained, all right, have you ever discussed this with your family members? Do you share passwords with family members? She said, no, I don't share passwords with anyone, not even my husband or children or anybody. Then it has to have happened in your home because we can determine the location, the time, and everything. So, through a series of questioning, the tribunal established that she had advised her son on how to set up a password. Then they said, all right, you cannot dispute the transaction because you have breached security in advising your son. And I think you better question your son as to whether he did it. And sure enough, he owned up. All right. So this is how things happen. That is a
And,
all right. That is a case.
and
But coming to
yeah.
court cases in Malaysia, yes, like I was telling you about e-contracts, there have been cases of how two parties here in Malaysia say, I want to buy something, some computer parts or some special parts, and there's an agent in Malaysia who does this. So the agent has to get it from a supplier overseas. So we call it a three-party contract, a tripartite contract, but done completely online through emails. And the software program or whatever that you're buying also is delivered online. Now, everything goes fine, but the party, the purchaser, denies having received it, denies having placed an order. But they actually have, the seller actually has a purchase order that was sent. Purchase order that was sent and signed by an employee who has since left the company. So, how do you establish the validity of the contract when the buyer disputes ever having ordered it or even receiving it? So, what they did was to get a email log from the supplier, overseas supplier, to show that this was actually sent, but there was no acknowledgement of receipt. So that is a problem. Like we, in a contract, you have offer, acceptance, various things to establish the contract. So offer and acceptance is very important. And then if you want to repudiate the contract also, it is very important. So how do you establish that online? So that was a very difficult case. And the problem was that they did not call the witnesses from the overseas supplier. They just supplied and produced an email and the certificate that I told you. So the other side, of course, opposing lawyer refused to accept it. So the court said that there was no contract, but later on the parties actually settled it outside court. But the judgment was for the buyer in that there was no concluded contract. So when you are concluding a contract online, actually you have to be very, very careful. And then the evidence, the way you present your evidence is also very important. So here in this particular case, the emails and the email log cannot just be supported by a section 90, we call it section 90A certificate, because the other side has opposed it. So you have to either bring your witnesses, overseas witnesses here to Malaysia, or apply to court to have video conferencing evidence. Because today that is possible. So you must know how to establish your evidence, how to get it admitted and proved. Yeah. So we have a lot of cases. But to answer the question, can we recognize e-contracts? Definitely we can. Through emails, even through SMS chats, you can conclude a contract and it can be recognized provided you give the court the right level of proof.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about that, about all this evidence thing, right? We all know that the adoption is the legal text. There is actually a need for a defined and the precise legal framework from the authorities, and this is what the current legal framework in Malaysia should go further to really support the legal text. But the question is, do you think that the current framework in the legal framework in Malaysia is already sufficient, or is it ready to support the legal text? Like if it's yes, of course it's very good. But if not, what should be prioritized to really pushing this legal tech adoption in Malaysia?
Actually, you see, like when it comes to electronic commerce transactions, I think a lot of commercial transactions are moving online, especially like the banks and credit card usages, and all credit card transactions are governed under law of contract. I remember when I met Dr. Gita, she was telling me one thing, everything online is about contract, right? So that was
Yes.
what she reminded me. Yes. everything go back to the basis of law of contract. So I remember that very well, And you see, like credit card, every day there were thousands and thousands of transactions. So the banks are very careful in terms of in terms of governing the trail of transaction, the proof. So as you notice, credit card usages, the steps that the bank are using, they are adding on more and more steps. In fact, last year in June 2020, Bank Negara, uh, uh, Bank Negara issued a new guideline to all the banks, which talk about uh, e-contract and electronic signatures. They are advising the bank to administer it by using three-factor authentication. That means it is not sufficient to just having like a password or a PIN number. It's not sufficient. The bank are looking at three-factor, meaning you need to prove uh, who the person is, the identity, what the person possess. For example, like a IC, uh, identity card and things like that. And what does the person know, like PIN number or secret questions? So, like for example, what the person process is also like biometric, like your thumbprint, like your facial recognition. So today, you realize that all the steps are being administered by the bank. Like we can open virtual account, right, in many banks, right? We don't have to go into bank. We can open virtual account, but they will have this eKYC process, electronic know your customer. So we have to upload our IC, and then we got to take like a short video of our face. They ask us to move. Then the system behind will do a rendering to match the IC face, the photo, and the authenticity of the IC itself, and also the facial, the video. And then when there's a match, then also we will be asked to probably like a one-time password, a certain PIN number, things like that. So it's a combination. So today the banks are doing more and more into that. And you notice every time we use our credit card, even though we key in one-time password, the bank will automatically send an SMS to us to say that no, you have utilized your HSBC credit card, charge this amount. If you have not used it, please contact the bank immediately. So that is another way the bank is trying to protect themselves, because they have sent you SMS. If you have not used the credit card, why didn't you contact the bank? So this goes into
Yeah, just
evidence
like a
work,
reminder.
All right, yeah. So you cannot deny. So there are so many factors, that you have like follow so many steps. It's difficult for you to deny, to say it was not me, who actually approved the payment of the credit card.
Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth, for your explanation. I think due to the time constraint, I think this is the last question that I get from the public. I think it should go to the Dr. Gita. Okay, like he is actually asking that can a document be modified after the e-signing, and which implication this has on the validity of the e-signing.
Oh, okay. Good
I think
question.
it will be
Very good
somehow
question.
related with what you mentioned just now at the
Okay,
beginning of this.
the document being modified after the signing is a lawyer's nightmare. Nobody will allow it. But there are certain legal ways of doing it. Like you can attach an appendix to it, where you say you call it either an appendix, or you can call it a supplementary agreement or a novation agreement, where you recite the background of the facts of the original contract. Say the original contract is now tied to this supplementary or novation agreement, and these are the new terms that the parties have agreed, and sign again. That is the legal way of doing it. But if you're talking about tampering of the agreement, then if it is a document that is signed by digital signatures, then you can immediately pick up and identify that the document has been tampered with because of the hash strings that I told you about in my introduction. But if it is not a document that has been under a digital signature, then it becomes more difficult, but not impossible, because it's an electronic document, right? If you're going to physically alter it, you'll have your Tipex or anything that is visible to the eye. But if it's an electronic document and after the e-signature, if you're going to, it is not PDF. Actually, even PDF documents can be un-PDF'd and tampered with, but generally PDF documents are more difficult to tamper with. But let's just say somebody has removed the PDF and translate it back to a Word document and does the adjustments, tampering of the words, changes terms and conditions, and then changes it back to a PDF document. But when you do that, again, if you get the help of a computer forensic analyst, expert to look into it, then that person will be able to establish through what told you was metadata in the computer itself to show whether or not that document has been tampered with and the date and time it was tampered with and which computer was used to alter the document, because every computer also comes with a specific serial number. All right, it's an identification for that computer. So you can locate that computer and you say, okay, this document was altered by this computer, which is registered under the name of this organization or this person if it's a private computer, and it was altered at this time and date. So a computer forensic analyst will be able to establish that. But it requires expense, it requires knowledge that somebody like this can actually help to prove the authenticity or the fraud that has taken place, you see. So you must, first of all, you yourself must have that knowledge in order to get the right people to help you. But yes, it can be done.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right, does
Doctor.
that answer the
Dr.
question?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very informative. Yeah, but due to time also, I think we already going to over our time. I think that's all for today. But just before I just close for this section, maybe I would like to invite both of you to have a very quick closing remark for our audience. Yeah, maybe Miss Elizabeth, you first. Elizabeth, you have to unmute yourself.
The sound.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Hi.
Sound is good
Yeah.
enough?
I think
Ah,
I think definitely electronic signature or e-contract is the way forward. And I don't think so people are going back already. We need to move forward. So it's a matter of creating more awareness and learning to electronically sign it the legal way, so that it can be used in court in the future. So you got to do it and do it correctly. That is the only advice I can give to our audience.
Yeah. How about you, Dr.
thank you.
Gita?
All right. Yes, I agree with Elizabeth. Definitely, we are not going to go backwards. We are only going to move forwards because this is the digital era, and the pandemic has taught us if we want to continue life as normally as possible, business as normally as possible, then we have to shift online. So we have to secure the online transactions. And I think for property sales, especially, there are a lot of things that can be done, right? So I think the Bar Council is already working hand in hand with the various departments in land office, stamping, evaluation, all these departments, they're working to see how this can actually, we can migrate conveyancing practice to a completely virtual portal. At the moment, it is still a lot of work that has to be done, but I think with the effort of all parties concerned, one day we will be able to migrate completely online, and we have to make sure that the security features for that are there. So Elizabeth was talking about facial recognition, retinal scanning, all these things. Yes, this is biometrics. So biometrics is one safety feature that can be incorporated into e-signatures and e-registration of documents in the land office. In fact, even with physical registration, there is still a lot of fraud going on with titles in land office. So what more when we migrate completely online? So accounts can be hacked. So many threats to security threats are there. But we have to look at these very, very carefully, and biometrics is one way. So under biometrics, you have various things: facial recognition, your thumbprint scan, or entire five-finger digit scan. In fact, some banks actually ask for all your five fingers, and retinal scanning. All right, all these are part of biometrics that can be used. But the thing to be aware of is, as technology progresses and security features progress, the other side, the dark side, also progresses equally. And today, if you know, I'm sure most people will know about fake voices, fake images, how it can be done through technology, through computer technology, right? So
Yeah.
the way forward, it is there, but it is a double-edged sword. As soon as something new comes up, there's always a security threat to it. So we have to be two steps ahead of the fraudsters. All right. That's all
Yeah,
from me.
yeah,
Thank
I
you so much.
fully
It's been
agree
such
with
a
you,
pleasure
Dr.
speaking
Gita.
to both of
Yeah.
you. So honored to be with both of you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dita, and thank you for both of you. Today is here to share about your very informative knowledge and even your very professional experience to our audience. Thanks for sharing this a lot of point. I believe that not only me myself, but also the audience, the public will feel very educational and also petition when they are trying or going to implement the e-signature afterwards. A big thank you to both of you. As our speaker today, really thank you very much. Okay. So now
Thank
for the
you.
audience, yeah. Okay, so now for the audience, we are here with you, our quiz section that is generously sponsored by the Big Two Bazaar. Okay, let me remind everyone that one last time to like our For Malaysian Property and Big Two Bazaar Facebook page and share this talk show on your Facebook or your social media. Okay, so now here comes with our first question, okay, for our quiz today. Okay, that what is the topic for today's talk show? Okay, the quiz number three. Okay, the quiz number three is the which institution does the Dr. Gita represent? Okay, which institution? Yeah, like answer for A is Malaysian Property, for B is Big Two Bazaar, for C is Procius, and for D is the Multimedia University. Okay, so this is our third question for our quiz today. Then I will just repeat again. Okay, which institution does Dr. Gita represent? Okay, A Malaysian Property, B Big Two Bazaar, C Procius, and D Multimedia University. Okay, this is the third question. Yeah. Okay, so now coming to our second question today. Okay, our second prize question. Okay, which of the following is the service that provided by the Lipro system? Okay, like answer number A is the property development. Okay, answer B is the construction management software. Okay, answer C is end-to-end legal technology and software provider to the real estate industry. Okay, and answer for D is the website hosting provider. Yeah, I believe that this question you guys will very easy to get the answer as I already mentioned it at the beginning when I introduced Elizabeth at the beginning. Okay, so now this is the question for the second prize. So now comes into our first prize question. Okay, our first prize question is, okay, what is the topic for the today's talk show? Okay, for the first prize question is what is the topic for the today's talk show? Okay, for the answer A is the Malaysian Property Virtual Talk Show 2021. For the answer B is the construction management software. For the answer C is the e-contracts and e-signature legally recognized in Malaysia. Okay, and answer D is how the pandemic mutated the property market looks like. Okay, so I repeat again. Okay, like what is the first prize quiz question? What is the topic for today's talk show? Okay, this is the question. Yeah, answer A will be the Malaysia Property Virtual Talk Show 2021. Answer B will be the will be the construction management software. Answer C will be the e-contract and e-signature legally recognized in Malaysia, and the answer D will be how the pandemic mutated property market looks like. Okay, so the fastest sender with the correct answer will be the winner, and the winner to be announced on the Malaysian Property Facebook on the following Monday, which is the next Monday. Okay, so a very big thank you to both of our speaker today, Dr. Gita and also the Miss Elizabeth, to share for all these the legally challenges and also what the industry facing today in the adoption and also the implementation of the e-contracts and e-signature. Yeah, but unfortunately that the times is already finished soon and but for me personally I still got a lot of questions to ask. Yeah, so if let's say even for the public your side, if let's say you guys got any question, you can just always reach to us, our Malaysian property, or even reach to Miss Elizabeth or reach to the Dr. Gita to discuss further on the e-contract, also the e-signing topic. Okay, so and thank you everyone for being online with us today. Okay, stay safe and thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye.